Hello everyone, this video is going to show you how to install the VMI lightweight RMR mount onto your Glock 17 or 34. In the package, you should have the RMR mount, an open sight, open rear sight, a tap, a drill, a jig, 4 mounting screws, and 2 RMR screws. This mount is designed to work with the Trijicon style RMR mount, RMR sight, but others should work. You may have to trim down the screw length so it doesn't protrude through the other side of the RMR mount. Let's get started. What you want to do right now is strip down the frame to where only the magazine release mechanisms remain. All the other ones you want to remove because the jig will go here and you don't want to get plastic shreds in here. So I'll just quickly go through this. A more comprehensive tutorial will be linked in the description by a YouTuber who has done a better job than me, or will do a better job than me at explaining all this stuff in detail. I'm just here to just basically run you through the drilling process. While you're doing all this, make sure to put all the pieces in a safe spot so you don't lose any of them, because that is a big pain in the butt. Something to note right here when you're removing the rear hammer assembly, be careful because there's a spring that might pop out here. This is the spring in question. I've had that fly out multiple times, and it took me at least an hour to find it one time, and that was not fun at all. You can leave this intact, just put it someplace else like all the rest of the parts. All the parts are dry without any grease or lube. That's because it makes it easier to show off what's going on here. We've got the frame. You don't have to take out the magazine release. We got the frame all set up. Now you can see there's holes drilled and tapped already, but that's because I've already done this and I don't have any more frames that haven't been drilled and tapped. Okay, now let's do the easy thing first and install the open sight. Place the open sight with the tab facing rearward. Rear compared to the slide. Oops. This screw is a self-tapping screw, so it will cut its own threads as it goes into the plastic. For you, since I've done this tutorial, I've taken several takes of this tutorial already. It's pretty easy to put it in, to screw it in, but for you it'll be a fresh sight, so you'll need to put a little bit more torque into it, but don't over torque it because then you'll strip the threads and that's never good. That's it for the slide. Put that aside. Let's come back to our frame. This is where the fun stuff starts. For demonstration purposes, I'm going to put this frame aside and use the first frame I drilled because I don't want to ruin the threads on my frame that doesn't have a cracked front post. But the technique is exactly the same. Oops, I forgot to say, this has a nozzle, so you want to get that nozzle to envelop that front post. Yeah. pop in, and it should move side to side, and then you can use the screw that held down the front frame piece to secure the jig onto the frame. Make sure this doesn't wiggle at all. This is very important, because if you don't have this jig all the way on there, your your mount won't sit parallel to the side of the frame, and it might be tilted forward or tilted back, and that is not good when you're trying to sight in your RMR dot. Now I'm gonna move the camera, so I'll cut to that. Okay, so what I recommend you do in this situation when you're trying to drill is that you place the frame with the jig installed in it with the screw and everything, and clamp it down on a flat area. I've put this little tray here just for demonstration purposes. You want something a little bit more solid. You can hear it creaking. Now basically what you want to do with a actual electric drill or something. I don't have one up here because, well, I don't have one. I ended up doing it by hand. Not like this, but you just want to drill that out, go all the way. You want to go up to here with the drill. It's fine if you go past it, but just don't get to the other side, because that risks scratching up the slide on the inside, on the inner side of the frame. And then once you do that, you want to get the tap and put the drill on slow and slowly go in, and don't force it past the neck here. You really don't need to go any farther than this much, because all you're really doing is tapping the thickness of the frame right here. Once you've done that, you can take off the jig and clean up the shreds of plastic that will be on the inner side. Okay, let's take off the jig. These jigs I designed to be one-time uses, and you really won't need to keep it around, because if you want to get another mount, another one of these will come with the mount, so yeah. What I was trying to say in the previous clip is that these holes will have some shreds of plastic when you first drill and tap them, so you just want to clean that off so you don't have any resistance when you put the front frame back in. Now that the frame has been drilled and tapped, just go ahead and install all the other parts back again. Be careful of this spring. It may jump out on you if you don't put it in correctly. I like to rock it in with the bottom first and then use my fingernail to push it in place. It's being a little difficult. There we go. Keep your finger over it while you finally align it. Okay. That's all good. Now what you want to do with this is raise up the trigger so it lines up with the pin. Okay, a little bit twisting and turning works. Now what you want to do, or what you want to be careful of when you push in the pin to the entire frame, is that you want to make sure you haven't accidentally clipped the slide release. Then it gets bent, then you've got a problem. But now if you twist it a little bit while you put it in, it usually ends up in the right place and it pivots freely. For the slide lock, basically what you want to do is you want to have the chamfered edge forward so you can put the slide on, and the flat edge backwards so it stays on unless you pull it down. Yeah, I guess before you do that you should put the actual screw in so the front frame doesn't bounce up and down as you try to do what I just did. Again, you'll be able to find a more comprehensive and clearer explanation of how to put all this stuff together and disassemble it in the video in the description. That's where I learned to do it, and now that I'm on camera I forget everything I learned. Quite unfortunate. Comedy, gotta love it. Before you go ahead with more stuff, just make sure everything works. Yeah, it's working. So we've got all the parts in. Let's put the slide back on. Yep. Not bad. Don't over tighten these screws or you'll have to replace the entire frame. That is also not very good either. Solidly on there. And now the final piece. Oops. If you're uncomfortable with doing this yourself, I'd recommend sending this kit and this video over to a tech, as they'll better understand what to do. It's a pretty simple process, but better safe than sorry. Look at that. You did it. You're home free. And now, benefit to the included open sight is you don't have to take off the frame every time you want to take off the slide, because that thing is way too tall to make it past that platform. So yeah. Oops. There we go. It looks sleek. Super light. You saw what you gotta see. There you go. Sick.